Alright then, we are finally here. It is the one we have all been waiting for. My Premier League 2025-26 predictions. This is the one that 9 months from now, we're either going to be in those cold aura compilations where I get everything spot on and I'm cooking, or they put me in the fail comps and say, haha, how did my man say this? How can this guy say that? So put on your seatbelt, collect your popcorn, because we're going to do our whole entire top 20 as well as top scorer, top assister, best signing, flop signing, and then 5 quick fire questions at the end. And I'll also be showing you guys the FPL. So as per usual, if you're enjoying the daily content, make sure you subscribe, because my first prediction is not even the table. My first prediction is that come end of May, Champions League final, 100k subscribers, we will be there. So don't let me down. You lot are responsible for this one. But alas, let's get into the table, because a common trend we've seen recently is that the Prem teams, the gap between them and the Championship is just so massive. And unfortunately for this team in 20th, the same applies here, man. Listen, Burnley, big up your thing. I know you tried the little rebrand from being the, the long throws and the hoofball to trying to play nice football. The quality is just not there for it, man. So I'm afraid you guys will be 20th. And regrettably, the next team is a massive club. But again, I don't see it. I understand they've had some good signings. They've had, I think it's like 6 or 7 players that are all exactly 26 or 27 years old, all above 6 foot. So I understand the game plan. But again, when Patrick Bamford and them are your strikers, it's tough. And now is where it gets tricky already, because normally there's always one team that you make the signings, you start feeding the hype, you believe the hype. Burnley was that a couple years ago, to be fair. Have I fallen for the hype this time? Normally I don't, but I think I have. I think I've fallen for the hype. I believe Sunderland survive. The problem is who goes down, and there are only 2 real candidates that it could potentially be if Sunderland are to survive. So I think it's like a bottom 5 basically, where these 2 are completely locked in. And in these next 3, it could be an either order. And if I'm picking one team and I'm saying Sunderland survive, it's between Brentford and Wolves, man. And I think Brentford, obviously losing Mbuemo, obviously Tony's gone, time ago. Worcester seems to be on the way out as well. Their captain Damsgaard is gone. Their gaffer, Thomas Frank, is gone. They're left with Keith Andrews. I'm sorry, guys. You had a good run, but I think the guys at the G-Tech have just been G-checked. You will be sent back down, man. Condolences, because I respect Brentford, great data technology and that, but nah, I don't know, man. So therefore, I have put Sunderland in 17th. I just think their signings have been exciting because they've got a good balance of under 21 superstars, under 23 players with a point to prove, and they've just announced the captaincy of Granit Xhaka. Years of Premier League experience, went invincible in the Bundesliga just a year ago. I think they'll do just enough to survive. They're not going to go on some crazy I know guys are putting them to have like a 10th, 11th push. Just survive now, and then next year try to, consolidate, and everyone's a year older. And it was a coin flip between Wolves and Brentford, like I said, because I wanted Sunderland to have that 17th spot. And I just feel as though guys like Strand Larsen can carry. I like Agbadu at the back. They've got the guys like Totti and whatnot. I just feel like they have better quality players than Brentford. Brentford was more like a team unit that Thomas Frank coached fantastically against the big teams. But that front line, big up Kevin Schade, they're going to be struggling for goals, in my opinion. We have one more spot to fill for 15th place. We're going to go to West Ham. Tough one, this one, but having lost Kudus, I know their West Ham fans will tell me, oh, he only got 5 goals or whatever number it is. He wasn't that good. I think Kudus is massive. I think it now puts a lot of pressure on Jarrod Bowen to deliver. Obviously, they've got Callum Wilson. Look, if he can stay fit, that's a different story, because I have always rated Callum Wilson, but I don't see it, guys. And the signings haven't moved me, incredibly. Obviously, big up Juve. I think his crossing is phenomenal, but outside of that, he does look a little bit clunky. And again, if you're whipping it in and your striker's Fulkrug, who hasn't exactly, been firing in the Premier League, maybe you are missing a 9 to get in there to make the most of his incredible crosses, because he will be a fantastic signing for them. Up into the mid-table range now, we're going to go to Fulham in 14th. I just think it's getting a bit stale there now at Fulham. They've kind of become the club. Somebody said in my comments yesterday, and I agreed with them, they're just kind of the club that are just there. They're never going to really be pushing for Europe. They're not fighting for relegation. They're not going for the trophies. They've got some good players, and I like Marco Silva as a coach. They've got a great backline with the likes of Bassi and Anderson and Anthony Robinson, but going forward, especially if they're going to be losing players and they're attacking midfielders, they're not superstars there, man. So I think 14th will be a calm one for them, and the one above them is the one that's controversial. I've seen some guys putting them to get relegated, I've seen some guys putting them to get top 10, which I think is a little bit too far, but I am going with Everton. This is a team that, you know, historically do belong in the top 10, to be fair, but over recent times they've been struggling. I don't think it will be a struggle this season. They've made some fantastic signings. As I keep on saying, that Villarreal game months and months ago, Tieno Barry, I think Everton has signed a real gem there. Obviously, Iliman Ndiaye is fantastic as well. Their defense is okay, but I think going forward, they'll have enough firepower to just outscore quite a few teams, you know, in that bottom kind of 5 or 6. In 12th, we have the Cherries. We have Bournemouth. They've lost a few defenders. The attack is, again, something that will carry them because we know Amenyah, when he feels like it, he can bark it off. He can get you goals. Clive will randomly have, you know, an 8-week spell where he moves like his dad and just scores every single shot. So they'll pick up points there. And again, they're a really well-coached team. Iraola will do a good job, but just not enough to really kick on and get into the top 10, in my opinion. Because the last team to miss out on the top 10, this one is through no real fault of their own, Crystal Palace in 11th. Which, to be fair, league position-wise is an upgrade for them, I suppose, because they're normally chilling in 12. I believe they are probably better than a couple of the teams I'm going to put above them in this table. But here's where we start factoring European football. They do not have a big squad, guys. And obviously, we didn't know if they were going to be playing Europa League or Conference League. So Conference League allows them to rest a little bit more, in fairness. But I feel as though they were waiting to see where they'll play before making any signings, because their squad is very thin, honestly. Like, you look at the starting 11, a couple subs, and then it's just teenagers. And look, they could be extremely talented, right? We know how good Deveni is, for example. You know, the early 20s, Roman Esse as well, really good. But you need a bit of experience there where you know, all right, we're going to be playing Thursdays and Sundays quite a lot now. And I just feel like it might take a toll. They might start prioritizing the Conference League once it gets to, like, you know, the last 16 or whatever. So 11th is a calm finish. The same will apply for Nottingham Forest. Look, big respect. I just feel as though it's one of them seasons where we're not going to see Chris Wood bagging 20 plus again. Playing Europa League will really take a toll. Again, Forest and Palace on any given day can pack in your team. So it's not like an insult to put them in this kind of position, but I just feel as though the amount of football they're going to be playing might hinder them a little bit. And it just occurred to me that I absolutely cannot count, by the way, because there's obviously 4 teams in there already. So Forest are, of course, going in this tier. They are going to be finishing 10th. So, yeah, my bad. If you started bugging out, if you started shouting, then well done to you. That means you're paying attention. But we move on, and the team that I think will be the closest team in the table will be Brighton. Because again, bear in mind, I want to reiterate, I forgot to say it at the beginning of the video, but this is like my nearly final provisional draft, if you will, because there's so much that can happen in the window that will change things completely. So maybe I'll do it again in a couple of weeks. I don't know if that's cheating or not. Maybe I revisit in January and make some changes. I'm not sure. But if they can keep Baleba and keep all their best players, I do think a 9th position will be calm for them. They are somewhat more used to European football than the likes of Palace and Forest. So 9th is calm. This is where it gets controversial and everyone has players in all sorts of positions. My 8th place team is Manchester United. Listen, be happy, guys. This is a +7 improvement. So let's give United a round of applause, everyone. You know, stand up if you're watching in bed or, you know, on the sofa, on the toilet. Stand up and applaud them. They've gone up by 7. I just think you have guys like Mbuemo, Cunha, Sesko. You are not going to be owing the league goals anymore. Surely not, right? You cannot keep having negative goal difference. They are not going to be playing any Champions League or Europa League or even Conference League because they were that bad and they lost the final to Spurs, notorious bottlers. So in 7th, we have Newcastle. This one is tough, and obviously the massive elephant in the room is Alexander Isak. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? If he stays, are they going to banish him to under 21s? In my opinion, and this is, you know, pure guesswork, if he does stay at Newcastle, I do believe by like match day 5 or 6, they're going to try and reintegrate him. He'll say, listen, you know what, guys? My bad, I bugged out, but let's just play and let me start scoring goals and we'll all put it behind us. Because that's how football goes, guys. Everyone's fickle. You're going to say, oh, he's a rat, he's this, he's that. The moment he bangs in a brace and starts doing that against Sunderland, if he does that against Sunderland, Newcastle fans, lie to me. Tell me you're not going to forgive him, bro. So let's see what happens with Isak. And so there's space for one more of these teams to miss out on Champions League. I think it is a toss-up between 2 because the top 4, in my opinion, is pretty clear. And in 6th, we have top Spurs, who will be playing Champions League. Obviously, we saw them play against PSG yesterday. They performed really, really well, actually. It was quite admirable. You could argue PSG were playing their first preseason game of the whole season, and that's why they could get outrun like that. But still, Thomas Frank, I believe, is a really good coach. I think from 17th to 6th is still crazy. I like Kudus. I like Thomas Frank's flexibility to go from, you know, a 3-back in some games to a 4-back to spam set pieces if needed. He's a good coach, and I think 6th going from 17th will be fantastic. On to the top 5. I think it's pretty obvious where we're going here, because you might be thinking, how these guys even got up here? Not really sure, to be fair to you, but Aston Villa. Now, again, things can change with signings and whatnot, but I really, really like Morgan Rogers. That is my main factor here, to be honest with you. And again, in the midfield, Tielemans, who I was not really rating previously at Leicester, has been fantastic. I think Onana, if he can stay injury-free, will be good as well. They've got a solid backline. And I think their European competition will be less taxing than Spurs having to play Champions League every other week. So we go to the top 4, and in 4th place, I have Chelsea, the world champions, if you will. They are, of course, going to be playing now in the Champions League. They've got a massive squad. We saw them, you know, in the first half of the season. They were in a title race, but they were telling us they're not in a title race. And then when they fell out the title race, they said, no, we're never in it in the first place, blah, 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 blah. We know what's happening. They've got some incredible young talents there. How well would they gel? Will it be quick enough to get enough points in the first 10, 15 games of the season? I don't know, but I still feel there's a bit of a gap in quality between Chelsea and then the 3 teams ahead, because in 3rd place, I have Manchester City. Pep's got his wife back, so big up him. Manchester City have made some fantastic signings as well. The likes of Ryan Shirky, I expect to do really well. Tijani Reinders, I expect to do really well. There's rumours about Donnarumma coming. That could change things as well, but again, as of today, the 14th of August, that has not happened. So there we are. I do worry a bit about the backline. I'm still not convinced. Again, you've had the whole summer to go and get a right back. We're going to be bringing Matheus Nunes as a right back. Not very keen. And therefore, Ait Nouri now has to do a lot more defensively, because Nunes is not exactly a fantastic right back. And I don't know how well that's going to work. But again, we'll see how it goes. How well will Roger recover from the ACL? I don't know. We go to our top 2, and I think it's the one that you guys will be wanting to see. You're waiting for it. You're sitting there waiting for the Premier League to say it as well. And so enjoy, because I am going to be putting Arsenal in 2nd place. I just feel as though if they're not going to be getting Eze, they're not going to get Rodrigo, they're not going to get Leao, there's still that one missing piece. That being said, obviously, look, okay, we put Liverpool first. I believe it will be a 3-way title race. Liverpool, Arsenal and City. The difference, I would say, obviously Liverpool have won the league. They are the favourites and they've strengthened even more. But there's no guarantee that they will all gel together. Whereas with Arsenal, it was quite obvious that, boom, get a striker and that's the one. You guys know I was never like a massive fan of Sesko or Gyökeres, but it is a 9 who has bag goals. You don't just forget how to score goals when you go to a new league. So I think the gap will be much closer. You avoid injuries. You avoid referees behaving how they behave. But unfortunately, guys, I have to factor in referees, because if I make a prediction, I don't want to come back in May and say, oh, I got it wrong because of the referees and I blame the refs. So I've factored it into my calculations from now that we know what happens with Liverpool. We saw the International Super Cup of the Anglais against Crystal Palace. The handball, you know, so I think it'll be a good shootout. I think it'll go down to the wire, and there's a very big chance that Arsenal do win this league. So there is a coin flip there, but I just think Liverpool will edge it ever so slightly. But alas, that is my top 20. Of course, put your top 20 in there. We're gonna go straight on to the awards. I have 8 of them. Someone will have 3 nominees, 1 nominee, or 6 nominees. So let's get straight into it. Player of the season. The nominees will be, in my opinion, Mo Salah, Bukayo Saka, Erling Haaland, Declan Rice, Moises Caicedo, and there's always one outside shout from like a outside big 5 team. I've gone with Morgan Rogers. That's how much I rate him. If he can stay injury free, I believe we'll have a huge season and potentially get a move, you know, above Villa. If I have to pick one, listen, it's tough, innit? Because realistically, whoever wins the league will get it. So if Liverpool win the league, I think Salah will be the most important player there. If Arsenal win it, I think Bukayo Saka will be the most important player there. It's a coin flip, like I said. It's really 50-50. I think I'm going to give it to Mo Salah. Young player this season also has 6 nominees. I've gone Florian Wirtz to have a really good first season. I've gone Lenny Yoro. Despite finishing in, 8th place, I believe this will be the year that he becomes United's best centre-back already, ahead of the likes of Lisandro and De Ligt and all these guys. I think Lewis Skelly's going to have a phenomenal season. He broke through halfway through last season and I think was great in so many big games. I think the same will happen this year. Ryan Shirky, I think everyone's going to say, you know what, I want to watch City nowadays, when before people were not watching City because it's like, oh, you go 1-0 up, yeah, game over, I don't care about that. I want to watch Rayan Cherki. And the last two, I'm going to go with two central midfielders. We don't know where they're going to end up yet, but currently, I think Adam Wharton will really kick on. Adam Baleba will show us why teams are banging at the gates for his services. Top scorer, the Golden Boot. I'm going to give you three names. We're going to have like a podium, if you will. So in third, I've gone Victor Gyökeres. As I said, this is someone that scored the most goals in Europe last season. So even if you don't rate him as a footballer or whatever the case may be, Arsenal do create chances. You don't forget how to score goals. So it may not look pretty, but I see like a calm... If I go like for a flat 20 goals, I would say. Basically, what I have in mind here is, because of Saka as well, if he can just play at least 30-35 games, the link-up, it's going to remind us of... Do you not remember when Ted Drake arrived at Arsenal and he was playing alongside Cliff Bastin back in 1934? For those of us who remember. Cliff Bastin just came off an incredible season, scoring 33 goals, but then Ted Drake arrived and Cliff Bastin became more of like an inside forward. I'm expecting a connection to develop there between those two, and therefore they help each other with the goals. But alas, in second, I have Mo Salah. He's not going to get as many as before, not because he fell off or because he's washed or he missed that terrible penalty, but just because there are other attackers that are good now in his lineup, right? You've got Ekitike, you've got Florian Wirtz, who I guess is an attacking midfielder. Gakpo is going to get some goals. So I'll go Gyökeres 20, Salah 23, and then number one, he's back. The robot is here. It's Erling Haaland with 26 Premier League goals this season. Top assister, third place, Bruno Fernandes. I'm expecting assists from those set pieces, whipping the free kicks. We're going to see Casemiro get a couple headers. We're going to see Sesko jumping like he's, Wilt doing the NBA stuff. Obviously, Mbuemo's there for the runs in behind, as is Mateus Cunha. I expect many assists from Bruno Fernandes. I'll say 13. In second, we have Mo Salah. Again, I expect a season of bare goals, bare assists. Not going to be assist record levels though, because it's going to be shared around. So if I go 13 for Bruno, Salah, in my opinion, will get 15. And that means in first place for assists this coming season, I do believe Bukayo Saka will top the charts for this one, because we mustn't forget, before his injury last season, the guy had like 10 assists in 12 games or something crazy like that. He was moving nuts with the assists. Obviously, I think it was like 2 or 3 of them were corners, and the rest were just cutbacks and crosses and everything. So with Gyökeres there now, again, I repeat, I expect assists the entire season. I'll go with, so I said what, 13 Bruno, 15, 16 for Salah, and I'll go 17, 18 for Bukayo. Best signing, there's not going to be like an official Premier League awards. I'll just give you my 3 names, not really in any particular order. I've got João Pedro for Chelsea. I think he'll be great. I think, you know what it is with him as well, yeah? I know guys are going to ask about, oh, why didn't you put Palmer in this or João Pedro, blah, blah, blah. I don't know who's going to be taking penalties here. That's going to be really important to decide who's going to be, bagging goals and player this seasons and whatnot, because they're both, fantastic penalty takers. But for best signing, I've gone João Pedro. I've gone Mo Kudus. I think we saw it already against PSG. You lot were laughing at me when I gave Kudus a 7.5 quality of player rating, that, oh, he was meaty for West Ham. You guys, you just don't get it. You just don't get it. I think he'll be great. And lastly, Tijani Reinders. If you know me, you know. Even before this season, where he just won, or was maybe second in the Serie A Best Player of the Season. I remember Netherlands times, bro, when I was rating him. That midfield has been an entire unction midfield for a long time now. Gundogan is past it. Bernardo Silva is past it. We don't know how fit Rodri will be straight away. So someone dynamic with legs that can get in the box like that, phenomenal. 3 flop signings, I have gone. We stay at Man City. Ait Nouri. I know, again, they're going to clip it when he gets an assist. They're going to say, oh, remember when my man said he'll flop? I know he was going to get you GA numbers. I know he's great going forward. I just don't think he's going to help that backline whatsoever in being more compact in the biggest of games. But again, we'll see. Likewise, the other side at right back, Jeremy Frimpong, man. I saw a clip on Twitter where they were saying this guy plays like Raheem Sterling. It was a bit of a vile, I can't lie, but someone's going to sacrifice there. Like I said, Frimpong and Salah, it's a completely different dynamic to having Trent there. And I know you're going to laugh and say Trent was bad at defending. Frimpong's not exactly a great defender himself and offers completely different qualities to what Trent did. And I'm not sure in his first season it will click straight away, but we'll see. And lastly, I've gone with Tell. I didn't really understand why they made it permanent in the first place. Now it looks like I'm just being like a cheat, if you will, because I wrote my list yesterday and then Tel went and missed his penalty yesterday to cost Spurs the Super Cup. But it's not really one that I make sense of, and especially if they go and get, is it Savinho they want to get, Eze they want to get as well. I just don't understand the point of Tel. He's not really a 9, he's not a winger. I don't know what you want from him. The overachievers and the underachievers, I guess we'll look at the table for that one. I think Everton will be the overachievers. I really think they're going to have a nice season. I'm hoping for like a nice little cup run. Do you know what I say though, actually? The one thing that I've just realised that I've not factored in whatsoever that could change everything as well is a new stadium. How will that play into... Oh, I've completely ignored that. They've left Goodison, isn't it? Have I gone too high on Everton? Or will it be a great stadium? I don't know. That's one that we got to wait and see, right? The first few games, what kind of atmosphere? Is it close to the ground? Damn. I didn't put down my calculations, guys. But alas, I'll put them overachievers and underachievers. Unfortunately, although you have gone up to 8th, United, that's an underachievement. I should not be seeing the biggest club in England sitting in 8th, having spent however many hundreds of millions. You sacked Margaret, the dinner lady. You've sacked Mildred. You've sacked Kate. Everyone has gone. You need to qualify for Europe. You've had your pre-season. No more excuses. So me putting them 8th is me saying they're underachieving based on what they should be arriving at. And before we go to FPL, we end it with 5 quick fire type questions. It's going to be who's going to get more GA. Boom, 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 boom. So, the first one, Gyökeres v Sesko, I think is the obvious one. I have said in the past that Sesko is probably a better long-term signing, but I don't really rate either of them that high whatsoever for the last however many months it's been. But I do believe Gyökeres is more right here, right now type plays in a better team, so he will get more GA. Cherki and Verts is another one that Liverpool fans and City fans have been fighting. Even during, was it Nations League, they were beefing about France and Germany. I love both of these players, so it's tough for me. But I think I'm going to go with Florian Wirtz, just about, because I don't know Pep. You know that guy, he might not even play Cherki, you know, half the games. He might be like, oh yeah, play on the wing here, play as a 10 here. So I think Wirtz is pretty much locked into play nearly every game. João Pedro v Ekitike, another one that depends on penalties, because if Cole Palmer's taking pens as like the primary one, I go Ekitike. If João Pedro's taking it, I do expect Chelsea to win a lot of penalties this year, because the likes of Estevao is going to be getting in behind a lot if he's playing. Gittins will get in behind a lot. Neto himself can win a lot of penalties. So that one is a coin flip, but I do think Cole Palmer will probably stay on pens. He is current Mr. Chelsea, so therefore I'm going to go Ekitike. Salah v Haaland, I think Haaland will edge him for goals by a couple, but Salah is going to get at least 7-8 more assists than him, so I'll go Salah on that one. And lastly, we spoke about him just now, Cole Palmer or Bukayo Saka. This one is tough. It's the one that has been an argument for a while. You know, Foden's kind of been left out of it because is he even going to be starting this season? You know, we don't know. Maybe do like, who's going to get more? Cole Palmer goals assists, Saka goals and assists, or Foden starts. I wonder what's going to be higher. But out of these two, I think I am going to go with Bukayo Saka with the corners as well. I think it will just edge it. So those are all my predictions on the screen. As always, guys, please put all of yours and don't let me catch you editing them, because YouTube will snitch. Let's see who knows ball, who doesn't know ball. We go to FPL. I'll be honest with you lot, I only made it because you lot always shout at me to make it. I don't even play FPL, bro. I always make my league. I've had it since like 2011. I make my league. By match day 5, I'm out. But if you do win my league, how do I find my league? There we go. If you do win my league, the code is here, 7E81BN. I'll put it, you know, like on the screen and whatnot. I will let you, first place, have a pick of any shirt of your choice. So if you win, you can say, you know what, I want the Brazil one, I want Dortmund, or I want Chelsea. Or you can pick your own one, right? There's players there. You can pick a custom one and say, I want Portsmouth FA Cup winners. Or I want Roger Miller. I want Di Stefano shirt. Whatever you want, you just let me know. You can have that if you win the FPL league. So good luck to everyone. Make sure you subscribe so that when we come back and react to this at the end of May, we can all laugh together. But this is a message to myself in the future. I just want to say, first of all, congratulations on the 100k plaque. We are pointing to right now. To be fair, I might not be pointing to it because they may not have delivered it yet, but we're going to be pointing to it very soon. Congratulations on all your predictions. Commiserations though, you may have got one wrong, and that is the top 2 may have switched round. I'll leave you with that. I'll see you tomorrow in a bit. Bosh.